back with Joseph Travers of Saved in America. He is the founder of this group. Started just in 2014, has already located and saved 78 children, and it is because of support from people like you. So if you can just sort of log on, check it out, see if you can or would like to support this group, be a big help for kids across America, the kids who need it most, right?
Absolutely. These are our children in our middle and senior high schools that are manipulated and terrorized psychologically and groomed and they take these kids of ours and enslave them, and it just can't happen.
How does it happen? How do they get into their heads?
Well, what they do is they look for, and there was a recent study in San Diego County that every public junior high and high school has a recruiter, a gang member recruiter for the traffickers in it as we speak. And they look for young girls who something might have happened, they're sitting by themselves, they're crying or something's going on in their life, and then they approach them and they groom them to be a friend. And then they start to communicate with them through social networking so the parents don't even know. So all of a sudden, she's missing. She ran away. It appears she ran away. She actually didn't run away. She was led out by the gang members who then get her alone, away from her family. Sometimes they beat them up, they inject them with heroin, or they do whatever they can to enslave them, to make money off of them.
And then they probably use them to recruit too, and they all get caught up in the cycle.
Correct. One 14-year-old we recovered here in San Diego, who they injected her with heroin, but they took her cell phone right away, beat her up, and then used her cell phone to try to recruit her friends.
So it's not just when your child goes out to deliver papers, go to the mall. They're not just going to get snatched off the corner of the road anymore. They're getting snatched on their computer, and they're using flattery, maybe gifts. Yes,
ma'am. And they're so, like, we go back to the runaway situation. So the parent calls the police show up, and the police officer says, well, why did your child, do you think, ran away? And the parent is telling the truth. They have no idea, because the answer is in the social networking.
We have to be PIs ourselves with our kids at home, don't we?
Absolutely. Every parent should know this device, the cell phone, this computer in their hand is good or better than their child does. And I know that's difficult, because I know the older you get, the less you're in tune with electronics.
And there's always a new app out there.
Absolutely. But as a parent, if you're a parent and you have a child, you really have to know that.
You have to. What is your advice to tell parents to tell their children ahead of time? Something you can tell them that'll really get the kid to listen.
One thing is secrets. When someone says, I don't want you to tell somebody or keep this a secret, that should be a huge red flag that they're trying to take the child away from their family or their friends and then try to do something to them. Secrets are not good. Secrets are good, like in the CIA. Secrets are not good for kids to keep things from their friends and their family.
It makes me think of the kids who fall through the cracks because they don't have a stable home life, a really close-knit family, or kids that are in the foster system that could fall through and no one even knows they've gone into the whole trafficking thing.
Oh, that's another issue. You have foster kids, which account for 60% of the kids that end up being trafficked because they don't have a parent. And then the county, usually the county, if a foster child goes missing, they don't have any avenue to go look for the child. Ourselves, we've went out and found them, and there's no parent. And worst case than that, we can't get any cooperation from the social workers. Yeah. So we just have to go do it ourselves.
It's crazy red tape.
Crazy red tape. And so these children, that's why the pimps try to get a hold of the foster kids, because they know no one's going to come looking for them.
Each person recruited into the trafficking can make a lot of money for the bad guys, right?
Yeah, it's a ton of money. They're used to, it's the same, show me a narcotics dealer, that is a pimp, and vice versa. They're one and the same, and they're all gang members. So if a gang member tries to say he's not a pimp, that's not true. If he says he's a pimp, he's not a drug dealer, that's not true either. Mm. They're one and the same.
And you know, because you've been on so many fronts of this, right?
Absolutely, both in the private investigation and in the public investigation as a police detective.
Mm. Interesting. So tell me about you and some of the guys that go do this. I call them superheroes because I think that's pretty much just almost everything but the cape. If a kid goes missing, you guys are on the job like now. It's like just call on your bat phone, or rather go on your website and contact you guys, and what happens?
There's two different applications to fill out. We take the application. There's another set of questions that we don't put on the website because we don't want the bad guys to know our methods. And once we do that, we start a social networking investigation and look for workable intelligence. Once we get the workable intelligence, we send out our former or retired police narcotics detectives or Navy SEALs or Special Operation Commandos. And they do this, by the way, all for free. 100% volunteers, and we don't take money from the parents. Even if they offer it, we won't take it. We say, keep the money for your child's rehabilitation, but we don't want it. We want to do it for free because we think it's a hard issue here in this country, that you cannot have your children, our children, enslaved by these criminals.
It's amazing to think that you guys are there. If I were a little girl and I went lost, I'd be glad to know that people like you were going to come find me. So I can't thank you enough for what you're doing. What can people do if they want to support you? Can they just go to your website and click on, is there a way to donate?
Yes, go on the website. It's very thorough. If you want to volunteer and even help us, we have a new Saved in America Reserve program where, depending on what your specialty is, you can help us and be part of our reserves and help volunteer for a number of things.
Talking to Joseph Travers of Saved in America. He is the founder of this group that came about just at the end of 2014 and has already done so much work, so much so that he has been tapped by the Human Smuggling and Trafficking Center out of DC. This is a branch of ICE to come in and help them, a non-governmental agency, to come in and help them do what they need to do to fight trafficking, locate people. And again, just want to, when we go on social media and we share things and we see something, it makes us mad. So in emotion, we share it without vetting it. So you have these people who are saying, I should go, they're bad, they're ripping people from, they're ripping babies from their mother's arms. But there's another side to it.
Absolutely. ICE is the protector of the babies and the children. If it wasn't for ICE, you would have no protection for these kids. No matter what side of the border they're going over, we have these gang members, they're taking our children over the border the other way and selling them. And they don't have anything like that in Mexico that stops them from coming over. We've had to go and recover 5 girls out of Mexico. So the traffickers just take them over the border. The Mexican side doesn't stop and say, who are these people? As we do, because we really care about children. So if you really care about children and these crooks, these violent pimp predators are bringing children over and they're all criminals that smuggle anyway, I said, you have to intervene and find out who is really this child. Is this child really being coerced and kidnapped?
And it takes time too, because we don't have all these resources. We don't have open borders where we're ready for we don't have the infrastructure. We don't have the people to have these mass people coming. I mean, we have people coming here who want to do it legally, so we're processing them. Those who get turned away because they ask for asylum, and then the ones jumping the border. It's a lot to handle. Absolutely,
and the ones that are coming here legally, that allows the voluntary process to find out, is this in fact that person's child?
Lot to do with it. Keep us posted on what you're doing, would you?
I will. Thank you very much.
You bet. We're so proud to have you. Joseph Travers, Saved in America. Please go and support them. They are doing great things for the kids of America.